Hey everybody, this is Robert Price. So today we're actually going to talk about using the chromatic scale or just chromatics in general to actually improvise, okay? Now, we can look at it today, just in two ways, okay? Because there's so many ways you can look at using the chromatic scale. This can be more of a churchy thing, like if you're doing runs and things like that, like churchy runs. Or it can just be regular, just like regular major runs, like pentatonic type stuff. So when I say churchy, I mean more minor, okay? So let's say we're in the key of F sharp. All right? All right, so if we're in F sharp, I did a recent video on this now. If you're in a key, you can always go a minor third up and just use that major pentatonic scale. So if I'm in F sharp, I can go a minor third up, which would be A, and I can act as if I'm just using a pentatonic scale, and it can sound pretty good. So if I'm on F sharp, I can do, right? That sounds churchy, right? Okay, so that's a very good start. Now, of course, I have my own little things that I do. Usually when I finish a run, I'm doing something like this. Okay? So it's okay if you have your own style of doing things, but we could mix the chromatic scale with that. So let's say we're doing a build up, right? Let's say you're following behind a preacher, something like that, right? You're on that 3. Okay? Now, when you go to the 4, I gave some runs before. I said when you're on the 4, it's kind of cool to always think about the chord tones. So if right now we're on the B major, well, we're on that dominant chord. So you have chord tones you can do. A strong pull for me is that third. If we're in, we're on that B. Okay, so you can land on a third or you can land on a flat 7. Okay, so a run could be, you can do, I think I did that before, but that's something you can do. So if I never showed that and you like that, you can take that one. So, okay. Now using the chromatic scale, you can start anywhere. I start on a chord tone, just to kind of keep it, inside the key. Sometimes I don't go too far outside. So we can do something like this. What about, okay. So what about that? You could do that. Okay. What I was doing the first time was I mixed my first run with a chromatic scale. So this is just a video. I just want to just open your mind up to using chromatics. So you can do, that's pretty cool. So, you see? So that's pretty cool. It kind of gives you a different feel opposed to just using, let's say, the A pentatonic scale in the key of F sharp. It can give you something different. So like I said, when I went to that B, I'm thinking about a chord tone. You remember now, you want to at least have an idea of where you're going to stop. All right? Because like the chromatic, you can go up and down all day. But of course, you want to have some type of idea. So that's why I practice slow. Okay? So I knew that I was going to that B, that B dominant. So my thought process was I do want to land on a chord tone. So for the most part, I usually do stuff like this on the 4 anyway. Stuff like that. So what I did, I said, well, this A is a chord tone. So let me just do, just walk it down. So you could do that. But what I said was I add a little bit more feel to it because I don't want to just have chromatics the whole way. So I can do something like this. Okay? So I hope that's not, confusing you. Okay? So let's keep going. So, okay. let's say you're on a flat 5. Now, even on a 5, a lot of us church musicians, a lot of times we'll kind of hang out over that 5 just to give it a build, you know. What if you wanted to do a long run? Okay? Because this right here was kind of like a short to medium run. You know? But if you're on the 5, let's say you don't have a bass player, whether you do or don't, this video still will be good for you. You could do, you know, all that type stuff. I told you a lot of times I end off that. But see, all I did was just a pentatonic scale. And I added in a 7 of A. You know, that's okay. But what if you wanted to add some, you know, some chromatics to that? Here we go. We can do, you can do something like, you see what I did? So this is something that I will already do. Take the runs that you already do and just put some half steps in there, you know? So usually I do something like this. And I would do this. Right? This time I said I'm going to do something like this though. I'm on the 5. And I did this. Once I got here to this E flat, I just did some half steps in there. Okay? It gives it a different feel when you do that. Okay? And then of course my signature finish. You know? So you know, I kind of brought it back. So okay? Now of course fingering does play a big part in this. So that's why I say practice slow to get comfortable with how, you know, you do things. So I'm going to do that first run, okay? I just want to give you guys some ideas. You can even keep going if you have time. You know, I love doing that. So, okay. So we're on that 5 right now. Let's do a long run. Okay? So that's a really good way to do it, okay? So I hope you guys got that. I know I'm not necessarily stopping and breaking down every note, but a lot of us already have runs that we do, but take some of the ideas that you already use and just add some chromatics to that. So like I said, a great start is you can just go a minor third up and do that major pentatonic, okay? Okay. So, you know, look, I just made up another one. You know, so you'll get really creative. I know you guys are going to come up with something. You know, so you can just sit there all day and just play around with it. Okay, so let's go to another key. I know C sharp is a 1. I try to stick with like popular keys. So let's go more major, okay? So let's say you're doing worship music. It's not all the time like it's something fast. But let's say you're doing like a nice progression, like from the 3 to the 4 to the 5 to the 6. Okay? So you're on the 3. What if you did something like this? When you get to the 4, so you heard that? It takes it out, you know, it brings a different feel to it. So I started on the 3, then I went to the 4. Now, I was already going to play this chord anyway. Okay? Now, whether, like I said, whether you have a bass player or not, it's really okay, because even if you're doing this, you know? So what I did was, like I said, I started on a chord tone. So I was already going to play this right here. Either this or this. Okay? It's B flat, sus, tongue twister. So that was my chord in the left hand. Of course, I do like that F sharp major 7. You know, a shell version of that. Now, since I was gonna play this B flat, what I did was I just did some chromatics. Now, this is the thing though. If I would have stopped right here, it's like, wait, you know, it doesn't sound right. So that's why I said you want to have some type of idea of what you're looking for. So me, I did this. I felt like that was a nice spot to stop. Okay, you may think differently, so you can do. You know, I did a little grace. So now the way I do it, the way I finger, you know, my fingers, I'm only using these two. So I'm able to kind of come back up to this C sharp. So here we go. You see, that's pretty cool. So there are some songs that you that follow this, right? You know, so it don't have to be necessarily that. But when you're on the 4, you could do this. You know? And this right here is just a pentatonic scale. So again, I'm mixing chromatic scale with the pentatonic scale. Okay? Now this is the C sharp pentatonic scale, okay? Okay? So, all right, and this is, you know, assuming that you have some time, right? Now you can also use, you know, like the chromatic scale to actually just land on something. It don't necessarily have to be like a full run, you know? So if I'm going to the 5, which is A flat, if we're still in C sharp, right? Or D flat. But if I'm going to the 5, I can do something like this. The 3, this the 4. I can do, so see what I did? You see? See how it adds more, you know, than just doing this? You know, if you're trying to be melodic and stuff, that's pretty cool, right? You can do this, but you can add more. This is the first run. You know, I like this, you know, but yeah, there's so many things that you can do. Okay, so I want you guys to kind of play around with that. Like I said, a good way to start is to think about the chord that you're actually playing. So I'll actually do another one because I really want you guys to get it. If you're on the 4 and you know you're going to play like a major 7, you know, a lot of times you can play the 1 over the 4. You can do something like, okay, so if you're going from the 3 to the 4, right? Just think about the chord tones. And you can say, you know what? I'm going to start in one spot and I know I can end on a chord tone. So definitely, I want you guys to try this out, okay? And see how far you get. If you need some extra help, of course, you can always email me. And then, you know, I can make a personal video for you, okay? And yeah, so we'll stop there. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you haven't. And I'll be talking with you guys soon.